Hi computer scientists, Mr. Stafford here, and I'm going to show you Unit 2, Lesson 7, Writing Constructors for Hierarchies. The first thing it asks us to do is expand the given food truck class and to import our dessert.java from the backpack. So go to Java, backpack, and dessert.java, and import. It says every food truck has an owner and a main dessert that it serves. In foodtruck.java, so here's foodtruck.java, write a constructor that initializes the instance variables owner and new dessert when called. So right here at this doc, it says, at this comment, it says to do write the constructor. So in food truck, I'm going to say public food truck, and we're initializing the instance variables. So we have an instance variable of owner and new dessert. So in the parameters, I'm going to need a string, and I'm going to say new owner and dessert, new dessert. And I'm going to initialize those instance variables in the constructor. Just to be safe, I'm going to do this dot owner to reference our instance variable owner equals new owner, and this dot new dessert, which is going to reference the instance variable on line number 3, new dessert, and set it equal to the new dessert parameter. Okay, run that, see if there's any errors so far. And then in myfoodtruck.java, create a food truck that mainly serves cookies by doing the following. So in myfoodtruck, in the main method, create a dessert object cookie. So I'm going to say dessert cookie equals new dessert open and closed. Just to make sure, I'm going to see if I've got a dessert constructor with no parameters, and I do. It's the default of red velvet. So I'll head back, and it says pass Amos as the owner and cookie as new dessert to the food truck constructor. So I need to make a food truck object. So I'm going to say food truck. I'm going to name it Amos because that's what I'm going to feed into it, equals new food truck. And then the food truck constructor that we just created, it's requiring a string parameter and a dessert parameter. So it's asking me to feed in Amos, which is A-M-O-S, and the dessert object that we just created, which is cookie. I'm going to run that, make sure I have no problems there. Good. So that's the first one. I'm going to go on to level number 3. And it asks us to apply the drive principle to our code and refactor the cake class to be a subclass of dessert. Okay, so they want cake to be a subclass of dessert. And remember to use the super call in the first line of the cake constructor to use the constructor from the dessert class to initialize the shared instance variables. So just to compare, I'm going to click on cake. I see I've got flavor, quantity, price, layers, and topping. And with dessert, I've got flavor, quantity, and price. So flavor, quantity, and price are all the same. So in the cake class, we are refactoring this and using the super call and feeding in flavor, quantity, and price. And then I can get rid of lines 10, 11, and 12, what I have right there, flavor, quantity, and price. But what I can't forget to do is if I'm making cake a subclass of dessert, that means that dessert is my superclass and that I am inheriting information from that dessert class. So I need to extend dessert. Okay, we'll run this, make sure that I don't have any errors, but I do have an error. So in cake, line 1, it's expecting an open curly boy. Oh, extends. I forgot my S on extends. Run it again. Clear the console just to make sure, and that's good. We run frequently to make sure that we don't have any errors. Okay, I'll finish that. Level number 4, it's sending me back to the food truck class, and it says in my food truck Java, create a food truck that serves strawberry shortcake by doing the following. Create a cake object called strawberry shortcake. So I'm going to say cake. I'm going to name it shortcake. Oh, strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake equals new cake. And it says pass Katie as the owner, strawberry shortcake as the new dessert to the food truck constructor. Pass Katie as the owner and strawberry shortcake as the new dessert to the food truck constructor. And both dessert and cake objects can be passed as the new dessert argument of the food truck constructor because cake inherits from dessert. And cake is a subtype of dessert, so cake is both a cake and a dessert. Okay, so what I need to do is look at my cake class, and this is all the information that I need for my strawberry shortcake. Okay, so I'm going to need a flavor, quantity, price, layers, and topping. So flavor is going to be strawberry. Quantity, I want 3 of these. The price, let's say that they're going to be $5.50. Layers, let's make it 2 layers. And the topping, what goes well with strawberry? Chocolate. Okay. And that topping was a string. Very good. Okay, so I have created a cake object called strawberry shortcake. Now I'm on to this number 2. And it says pass Katie as the owner and strawberry shortcake as the dessert to the food truck constructor. So I'm going to make a new food truck. So I'm going to say food truck. I'll name it Katie equals new food truck. Katie is the owner. And I'm going to feed it strawberry shortcake. Okay, so just one more time. It says pass Katie as the owner and strawberry shortcake as the dessert to the food truck constructor. Both dessert and cake objects can be passed as the new dessert argument of the food truck constructor because cake inherits from dessert. And cake is a subtype of dessert, so cake is both a cake and a dessert. So what they're illustrating there is on line number 5, I've got a food truck, and I'm passing in a dessert called cookie. And that's valid because in the food truck, it needs an owner and dessert. But on line 9, I'm passing in Katie as the owner and strawberry shortcake, but strawberry shortcake is a cake, okay? But in the food truck constructor, it's asking for a dessert. So one more time, cake extends dessert. So cake is a dessert, which is why I can feed a cake into the constructor for food truck, which is asking for a dessert, because technically a cake is a dessert. Cake is a cake, but cake is also a dessert, which is what we're illustrating there. I want to run this and make sure that I've got everything okay. Looks like I do. And step number 3 says, cake objects can be stored in variables of type dessert too. Change the type of variable strawberry shortcake from cake to dessert and rerun your code. So I'm changing the type of variable from cake on line 7 to dessert. And I can rerun this, make sure that it's all good. And everything still passes. So on line 7, I've got this strawberry shortcake. I'm declaring it as a dessert, but initializing it as a cake, which is valid. And I like to read these from right to left. A cake is a dessert. A cake is a dessert. Remember, that is a relationship when you have inheritance. Okay, we can finish that. I'll move on to the next programming. And we have an option here to either make a cookie, a pie, a donut, or a cupcake. So I'm going to make a cookie subclass. So it says create a class called cookie that is a subclass of dessert. Create a class called cookie that's a subclass of dessert. So what I need to do is make a new file and name this cookie.java. Don't forget the .java. Don't forget the .java because it is a Java file, okay? So I'm going to start it with public class cookie, open and close parentheses. And then a cookie has an int diameter and a Boolean chewy, is chewy, as additional instance variables. So I'm going to say private. All of our instance variables are private. Int diameter and private Boolean is chewy. And this needs to be a subclass of dessert. A subclass of dessert. So that means that I will extends dessert. Okay. And then for a constructor, I'm going to say public cookie. Since it's a dessert, what I want to do is take in a flavor, a quantity, and a price. Take in a flavor, a quantity, and the price. So I'm going to string flavor, quantity, and price. I'm going to copy those parameters for the first thing in my cookie constructor. And I'm also going to do int d for diameter, Boolean IC for is chewy, open that curly brace, and then I'm going to make a super call for new flavor, new quantity, and new price. And then I'm going to initialize this dot d is equal to diameter, and this dot IC is equal to is chewy. Okay, run this one more time. Make sure I don't have any errors, which it looks like I do. I had this backwards. My instance variable needs to be this dot is chewy equals IC. Okay, I'm going to run that. And I did it backwards with the diameter also. Diameter equals, this dot diameter equals D. And clear the console one more time, make sure it's good. And we're all good there. So what I need to remember, instance variable first, and then your parameter.